The Arma 3 editor is a very useful and very powerful tool. You can do quite a lot with it, so it can get pretty complex, but it's very easy to use it for simple stuff such as learning to shoot. I'll show you how to do that. Click on the editor here. You'll see on the left here a list of the maps that you can do. For the sake of simplicity in this video, I've turned off all the mods currently, but if you want to practice with any modded maps, vehicles or weapons, you're going to need those mods installed. I'll choose Altis. Click continue, and the editor will start off by putting you in a random position on the map. There's no vehicles or players or anything like that selected at the moment, so if I click on play scenario, this is all you get at the moment, basically just showing you the camera that you've set up and where it is on the map. Let's escape, return to the editor. Basically it's not doing anything because there's no players or vehicles or anything like that. In order to position yourself where you want to be, press M for the map. It goes to this 2D view and it's showing a picture of a camera there. That's showing where the current camera is pointing, and the triangle in front of it is showing its field of view. Let's say I want to go to Kavala. So go over to Kavala here, right click, a couple of right clicks for that to show up for some reason, and then you choose go here. That's now changed the camera to this position that I selected here. The triangle is very small because the camera is pointing down at the ground. So if I now press M for map to go back to the 3D view, at the castle at Kavala. To move around in the editor window like this, it's the WASD keys, and if you hold the right mouse button, the mouse movements will also move the camera around. Press Q and Z to go up and down. Press E to get rid of the entities and locations window, and press E again to get it back on the screen. And it's R for the assets and histories window. Let's put a player on the ground. Actually, first of all, let's move down into the town somewhere. That would make sense for what I'm going to show you next. Where should we go? Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to place a character next to this building here. Right, on the right, these are the asset types. So you'd want this picture of a single person highlighted. Now underneath that you have here the options for Blue 4, Op 4, Independent, Civilian and Props. These are the different factions under which the objects, as they're called, come under. So at the moment I've got Blue 4 selected. So what's coming up in the list here, get rid of the sec. What's coming up in the list here is all items, objects, I suppose you're supposed to call them, all objects that are connected to Blue 4. So if I go on to, what's an example, helicopters, these are the helicopters that are available to Blue 4. Here's Op 4, so if I click on Op 4, here's all the objects that are connected to the Op 4 team. So this is all the helicopters, etc. that Op 4 uses. Click helicopters, so you can see they're all different helicopters to the ones from Blue 4. And here's the independent, and here's all the independent helicopters. Types of personnel that you can choose that are connected to this team will all come up in the list here as default. So let's choose one. Let's say light rifleman. There you go. All I did was just left click drag. Let's put the guy on the screen. Now, by default, when you drag someone onto the screen like that, it automatically makes them a playable character. So if I now choose play scenario, I will be in control of the person that I just put on the screen. There we go. Let's go back to the editor, press escape, click return to editor. And I'm back to the editor screen again. The player that I've put on the screen here, let's say I want to change his weapon, let's say to a Avid. So what I do is underneath the player there's the little marker thing there. You need to hover your mouse over the little marker thing, And so the writing that comes up here, it says Rifleman Light. In the little black square there, you need that to come up. On that circle, you right click. Sometimes it might take a couple of clicks. Now, this right click menu comes up. What you want to choose is Edit Loadout down here. Now this is loaded up the loadout screen. On the left here, it's showing you can choose all the different items that the player is holding. At the top is the rifle. This is where we choose the gun. So we want to give him the Navid. See, at the moment he's currently got the Mark 20 selected. We go down to the Navid, where is now in the top right, it shows you the different attachments the gun has. Sight, rail attachments, suppressor, and bipod. So let's say we want a DMS scope. At the moment, currently has the ACO scope. Actually, let's give it an AMS. Give it an AMS black AMS scope. Now you can see the black AMS is on the Navid. Okay, now back to the left menu here. Launcher. You can choose launchers. At the moment, empty's highlighted, so I've got no launcher. Normally, I would use the RPG-42 Arma, so let's click on that. Okay, rocket on the back. Obviously the rocket doesn't have any attachments, so nothing's appearing there. Right, next is the handgun. We'll leave that for now. I don't usually use a handgun. Uniform is where you can choose from all the list of the different uniforms that are available. Like assault vests that are available, backpack, helmet, face wear, night vision. Let's get rid of night vision. Binoculars. This is just sort of like going into what equipment the player will have on him. To choose what ammo you're carrying, click on backpack or assault vest, or even the uniform if it can hold any items. And while you have the uniform, vest or backpack selected, you get this menu in the top right, which is where you choose which ammunition or which items you want to put in your backpack, vest or uniform. Not wearing a backpack, so let's click on the vest. Got two 45 ACP 9-round mags and a pistol, so don't want those. So I've highlighted it. Click on minus on the left to get rid of them. See, I want one rocket. Actually, I can't carry a rocket because the assault vest doesn't have enough room. That's what I'm guessing now, and I assume that would be the same for the Navid mag. Oh, the vest does actually have enough room for a Navid mag. But because I want another Navid mag and a spare rocket, I'm going to equip my guy with a backpack. See, currently it says empty, so I've got no backpack. So click backpack, have a backpack. So get a rocket. Yep. Should be able to fit another Navid mag in there. Yep. Now these are grayed out, so which means that there's not enough space for them. Let's choose grenade. Give myself 2 RGN grenades. You could also choose from explosives and first aid kits, mine detectors, and toolkit here as well. But I reckon for practicing purposes, that's good enough. So I'll click on OK, and now I'm in the game with those items that I've selected. So I click on Play Scenario. I will now appear in the game next to the hospital in Kavala with the items that I just selected in the loadout. And there we go. Navid, RPG. But something that a lot of people do in first-person shooters to get used to a gun is they will choose the gun and start shooting at a wall and start learning to control the recoil for that gun by shooting at a wall. In order to keep that crosshair still, I'm moving my mouse down as I fire. And if I don't move the mouse down as I fire, it looks like this. See the bullets just go up like that. You can see from the bullet holes, that's the recoil, that's showing you how the gun recoils. It goes up to the right a bit. So now let's try and counter the recoil. I did that by moving the mouse down and to the left a little bit as I was firing. very small spread because I'm countering the recoil. Obviously, you know, this target's really close away, really close. So if you're trying to shoot something that's far away, well, its spread's actually going to be a lot bigger than that tiny little square there. This is something that professional first-person shooter players do quite a lot for practicing with the guns. It's something that, for example, Counter-Strike players do. It's not as useful to learn the recoil in Arma 3 as it is in other games. In Arma 3, you probably just want to like burst fire. Now let's give an example of burst fire on the wall, actually. See, it's still a bit of a spread. It's difficult to do that while still moving and shooting, which is what I do a lot of the time. I still move and shoot. Something more like that. Not a bad bullet spread, but if you're moving and shooting at the same time, it makes you much harder to be hit. The editor, great tool, fun to use, and actually pretty damn useful. Thanks for watching. Hopefully I'll see you next time. Take it easy.